Hey guys, I'm Hariharan, a third year med student, and today I'm going to teach you anatomy of the lacrimal apparatus. But before going into the video, in my channel Naralu, I teach anatomy in a very simplified way with full visualization. It covers every important concept you require for your competitive examination. So if you like my channel, please like and subscribe to my channel Naralu to learn anatomy with me. Okay guys, let's get into today's topic, the lacrimal apparatus. See, this is the diagram of the eye. Above this eye, this part you see, this is the lacrimal gland. This lacrimal gland further has two parts. That is the orbital part of lacrimal gland, which is located deeper, and the palpebral part of lacrimal gland, which is located superficially. From this lacrimal gland, several ducts are coming out. These ducts are called the lacrimal duct. From these lacrimal ducts, the tear is usually secreted into this region called as the conjunctival sac. From the conjunctival sac, the tear fluid enters the lacrimal punctum. Those are these two minute openings you see in the above and lower eyelid. From this opening, the lacrimal canaliculus comes, and from the lacrimal canaliculus, it enters the lacrimal sac, and this lacrimal sac continues downwards as the nasolacrimal duct. That is, the tear which enters here goes into the through the lacrimal punctum to the lacrimal canaliculus. From there it goes to lacrimal sac and it drains into the nasolacrimal duct. So I guess now you understand why whenever you put an eye drop, you feel the taste in your mouth and also in your nose. That is the reason why, because there is a connection between the eyes and the nose. Okay guys, now let's study each of the components of lacrimal apparatus in detail. Now let's study the lacrimal gland. It is a J-shaped serous gland. Serous means it secretes fluid, and you saw the shape, it is the shape of a J. It consists of two parts, that is the large orbital part, that is a larger part and which is located deeper, and the small palpebral part, the part which is near the eyelid. Palpebra usually means the eyelid, remember that. Orbital part is almond shaped and is situated in the lacrimal fossa. It is situated deep, that's why it's situated in a fossa. The palpebral part is 1/3 of the size of orbital part, that is obviously because it is a smaller one, and it is situated in the lateral part of the upper eyelid. Yeah, it is definitely situated near the eyelid and that to the upper one. Remember it. And then you also saw those numerous ducts that are coming out of the lacrimal gland. They are usually 12 in number. 4 to 5 of these ducts come from the orbital part of the lacrimal gland, and 6 to 8 of them come from the palpebral part of the lacrimal gland. You can once again see the diagram. See, it's J-shaped. And then from the orbital parts, few ducts are coming. These are 4 to 5 in number. And from the palpebral part, many ducts are coming. These are 6 to 8 in number. Okay guys, now let's go to the next part. Also, these ducts pierce the conjunctiva of the upper eyelid. Conjunctiva is the outermost covering of the eyelid as well as the eyeball. This conjunctiva has a specific space called as the conjunctival sac, which we'll study in detail further in this video. These ducts open into the conjunctival sac. The arterial supply of lacrimal gland is supplied by lacrimal branch of ophthalmic artery, which is in turn a branch of the internal carotid artery. Its venous supply is lacrimal gland is drained by the ophthalmic veins. Nerve supply of the lacrimal gland. Lacrimal gland is supplied by the nerve to the lacrimal gland. It receives fibers from the parasympathetic, sympathetic and sensory parts. Let's see all of these pathways in detail. This is the parasympathetic pathway of the lacrimal gland. You see this nerve to lacrimal gland? This is connected to the pterygopalatine ganglion. For understanding this entire pathway, you are required to study the pterygopalatine ganglion in detail, which was already mentioned in my video earlier. So please do watch it to understand it better. This is the sympathetic pathway of the lacrimal gland, which is also supplied via the lacrimal nerve to the lacrimal gland. It also has to do with the sympathetic plexus, which is in turn connected to the pterygopalatine ganglion, which we'll study in detail in the pterygopalatine ganglion chapter, which was already taught in the previous video. So please do go and watch it for more information on this too. So yeah, next we'll go to the conjunctival sac. Conjunctival sac is the potential space, means this space doesn't actually exist, but it is actually potential space, that is, it is completely closed, but it could open when required. That is, the potential space between palpebral and bulbar conjunctiva. Palpebral conjunctiva is the conjunctiva over the eyelid, and the bulbar conjunctiva is the conjunctiva over the eyeball. The space between the palpebral and the bulbar conjunctiva is called the conjunctival sac. This is the region where the lacrimal ducts open up. Now let's see about lacrimal puncta and lacrimal canaliculi. Lacrimal puncta are minute openings on the summits, that is the top of the lacrimal papillae on the lid margins. You see, this is the lid margin. You saw those lacrimal puncta on the top of the lid margins. That is what they are trying to tell in the sentence. And there are two lacrimal canaliculae which originate from these minute openings. Those are the superior ones and the inferior ones from those respective puncta in the upper and lower eyelids. And these lacrimal canaliculae are about 10 millimeter long. Both canaliculae open at the lateral wall of the lacrimal sac behind the medial palpebral ligament. Let's see lacrimal punctum and the lacrimal canaliculus in the diagram once again. You see, this is the eyelid and this is the eyelid margin. Above the eyelid margin is these minute openings called as a lacrimal puncta, and from these minute openings there are two tubes coming out. These tubes are called lacrimal canaliculae and these tubes are about 10 millimeter long. Now let's go to lacrimal sac. Lacrimal sac is a membranous sac. That means it is made up of membranes and it is about 15 millimeter long and 5 millimeter wide. It is situated in the lacrimal groove and it is subdivided into three parts, that is the fundus, body and the neck. The lower neck is continuous with the nasolacrimal duct. Now let's see this in the diagram. Okay, let's see the diagram. This entire tube is the lacrimal sac. The furthest part is called the fundus. The rest of the part is called the body and this narrow part is called the neck, and you see this neck, it continues as the nasolacrimal duct. Now let's learn the relations of lacrimal sac through this diagram. You see this round structure in pink color, this is the lacrimal sac. What is in front of it? That is anterior to it. It is the medial palpebral ligament, and behind to it, that is posterior to it, is the lacrimal part of orbicularis oculi. Then let's see what is medial to it. Medial to it is the lacrimal groove, and then what is lateral to it? That is the lacrimal fascia. That's all you are required to learn the main relations of the lacrimal sac. You see, whatever I told is exactly written here. Anterior to lacrimal sac is the medial palpebral ligament. Posterior to lacrimal sac is the lacrimal part of orbicularis oculi. Lateral to it is the lacrimal fascia. Medial to it is lacrimal groove and minute arterial plexus. That's all. Let's go to next topic. Next part is nasolacrimal duct. You have seen it is just the continuation of the neck of the lacrimal sac. It is a membranous passage which is 18 millimeter long. It begins at the lower end of lacrimal sac, just as we saw, and it runs downwards and backwards and opens into inferior meatus of nose. You see, nose has three turbinates, and the one which is below the lowermost turbinate is called the inferior meatus of nose, which we study in the lateral wall of nose anatomy. You see, nose has three turbinates in its lateral wall. The opening below the lowermost turbinate is called the inferior meatus of nose. You study this in detail during the lateral wall anatomy of the nose. Now let's get into the clinical importance of the lacrimal apparatus. Number 1 is Bell's palsy. During this condition, lacrimal glands fail to produce tears. That's why in this condition, artificial tears are used to treat the patient. Next is axillary lacrimal glands. Using certain procedures, the entire lacrimal gland is basically removed. Does the conjunctiva dry off in such condition? No, it does not. The conjunctiva is kept moist by secretions of these axillary lacrimal glands. That is why it is important. Number 3 is epiphora. that is overflowing of tears. When does it happen? It can happen in the conditions such as hyperlacrimation, which can happen when you eat spicy food or when you're emotional. It can also happen during the obstruction of the lacrimal passage and also during the eversion of the lower eyelid called as ectropion. Okay guys, that's it for today's video. Meet you next time with another interesting video. And before that, if you want my handwritten notes, please do follow the link to my Telegram channel given in the description below for my handwritten notes. So yeah, that's it guys. Bye bye.